Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or the guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dawn Melanie. First and foremost, I want to thank each of you for taking the time out of your busy day to spend this time listening to me as I discuss another angle of how I manage myself, living with multiple sclerosis for over the past 20 years. Like many of you out there, also diagnosed with this degenerative, debilitating disease, I too have had my bad days. But I always try, really give an honest effort, not for just one day, not just a few times or a few days, but I try to give an honest effort on a consistent basis. Consistency. I say this because consistency generally generates or leads to habits. It can be habit forming. So consistency one day, or actually consistency several times, will be an act that's habitual. I emphasize this, several times because not just a few times. I say, okay, I'm gonna try to do my best and be the MS warrior that I claim to be, but consistency, over and over and over again. I think I give it a pretty good effort, habitually, all in one effing day, or actually throughout each effing day. What I mean by effing is I kind of drop F-bombs, not the traditional sense that some may be thinking, but some of the F-bombs or the weapons that I use, some are preventative and others are, I'd say, pretty much undeniably reactive. That is how I respond to things that happen in my life, or, whether it be MS or relationship or what have you, just in life. A lot of times with MS, things will happen. It'll be, I want to say, stressful or serious in nature, and you just want to say F it, which I do. But like I said, it's not the traditional F-bombs that you may be thinking. I have a, I call them my keys to successful managing multiple sclerosis, and I detonate these F-bombs with, I'd say, effects as deadly as Hiroshima. But genocide against any man, against any woman, or any child, no, not at all. The only thing I'm trying to destroy, well, we haven't figured that out yet, but the only thing that I have hopes to slow the progression, I believe that's the term clinically used. I drop these F-bombs in hopes to help me with dealing with my multiple sclerosis. Like I said, the only thing I want to do is clinically, I understand we can only, or as of today, it's only been proven how we can clinically slow the progression. So my F-bombs are all related to slowing the progression and making it easier for me to deal with MS, multiple sclerosis. Of course, I say this with the spotlight being shown on my management of my relapsing, remitting multiple sclerosis for the past 20 years. But I believe it's simply an extension of me. That is how I work, what makes me tick. An example is, let's see, I live in North Texas in the Dallas Metroplex area. Yes, near Cowboy Stadium, in case anybody is trying to figure it out geographically. Anyway, the summer temperatures here are oftentimes pretty darn cruel to me. I'm talking, get the cooling vest on and the headband and et cetera, and it just can't stay cool. So I got these pretty cruel heat temperatures here in North Dallas, and not just hot. Some people are thinking hot. It's like, oh yeah, 95, 100 degrees. No. I'm talking unrelentless, multiple successive days exceeding 105 degrees. Now, sure, we do get breaks from time to time. It's not like 10 days in a row. I think it has been. But it may be 4 or 5 days in a row. We get a break, but we don't. I try not to fret. I do try to be prepared. I check the forecast. My husband makes fun of me. My mom does as well because my mom calls me the weather girl because I follow the forecast pretty intently I know that it changes like the wind, no pun intended, but I try to follow the forecast, get an idea of what the weather's going to bring the next day. It's going to be hot, hotter, hot, hot, hot. I'll take that information. I'll use it. I'll try to get to the gym, run my errands as early as I can, early for me. And generally that's a target before noon. Why? No surprise. I move quite slowly in the morning. I know some of you do as well. And I better clarify when I say I move slowly in the morning, because it's not what most of you think. I have no problem popping out of bed. I mean, it feels like I'm in overdrive before my feet even hit the floor in the morning. And once they do hit the floor, the number of steps that I take, it's almost surreal. I mean, in my humble opinion. Usually, I'm probably clocking nearly 3,000 steps before I even get out of the house that day. But, like I said, I'm on overdrive, pretty energized. But please note that this is also after my 9 to 10 hours of restful sleep. Pretty much most nights. Now, if any of you listening have even an iota of disbelief of my claim to having multiple sclerosis for so long and having this kind of unwielding energy, I understand. But I ask you to take a step back and think about the hardest factor of this disease. I think it's unpredictability. For each and every one of us. The snowflake disease. I'm a little snowflake. Clumsy and not. Sometimes. Okay, whatever. Okay, not a great songstress by any means. But we know that snowflakes melt quite rapidly as the temperature rises. But I feel like sometimes I'm the snowflake that can't. No. I feel that I'm the snowflake that can alter its course. I mean, literally, controlling my course 100%. Okay, all right, that was a little grandeur in nature, because we know that's not how it works. It doesn't work like that for anyone, particularly doesn't work like that for anybody suffering from multiple sclerosis. But unlike the little snowflakes, the real snowflakes, that are subject to whatever the wind blows their way or however the wind blows them, I don't have to be just accepting of this. I actually have some control over my course. That is my course of dealing with multiple sclerosis. Again, let me give a disclaimer. I'm not some superhero by any means, but I do believe that I have a hand in the course of my destiny, or again, how I am affected with my multiple sclerosis and how I handle it. I say this pretty much because I'm in tune with myself. I know me, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I pay attention to my habits, the things I do over and over again, indicative of my nature and who I am, whether I want to admit it or not. Any changes in behavior, etc. I pay attention to these so that I know and I can appropriately report them to my treating physicians, especially when it's related to my multiple sclerosis. If I'm having 2 falls in the past week, that's probably something I need to get addressed. Actually, speaking of falls, that actually occurred the end of last year, December 2017. I did have a fall, and I was honest with my doctor. Have you had a fall in the past 6 months? I had to say yes. Begrudgingly, I said yes, but it was honest. I said yes. A little embarrassed, but that helped to know that there was something going on. So it prompted him to have order an MRI, not only of my brain, which I did every 6 months, but also an additional MRI of my spine. Without this communication to my doctor, he would have not known that, there was some damage there, and we had to make sure we treated that accordingly. And also, I started physical therapy shortly thereafter that, and I learned a whole lot about walking. I learned how to walk this way, but this is something that, I was in tune with myself. I'm like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be falling like this. This is ridiculous. I'm standing near the treadmill. I'm not even on the treadmill. And I fall. By the way, guys, I fell on the treadmill. I was standing there and I don't know, things just weren't right, but I fell on the treadmill. So a little weird, But again, I had to communicate that to my doctor to let him know. And basically, it was all because I was in tune with myself. Yeah, I speak of. I liken it to just simply an energy level so uncanny that it's kind of like, when I wake up, the way that I respond when I wake up is kind of like basically giving starting a car with jumper cables, a pair of jumper cables. The car is like dead until we, get a good connection and, our friend or AAA, starts their vehicle or does whatever to get the train, the, what do I call it? The transmission, whatever, the signal's going to our stalled vehicle. So, it's like almost, it's really quick, the car starts like, just like that, it starts up. Or sometimes I even liken my energy to basically doing the same thing with the heart. Starting the heart from using the application of a defibrillator or AED, I believe. Kind of like a boom, just almost immediately. That's me when I wake up. Bam, just like that. Kind of weirds my husband out because he's all tired and he doesn't like the light. I like the light. And I like to be moving very quickly in the morning. Now, that may surprise you. It often does so for my doctors. But like many of you out there, my energy levels decline. Now, I'm talking decline very rapidly. I'd say more so than, let's see. I got it. More than an electronic toy on Christmas Day after your 6 size D batteries fizzle out and you've only played with the darn thing for like 8 minutes, not even 10 minutes or half an hour. That feeling, it's like, come on, seriously? That's me. I mean, many of you do that, or many of you experience that, and so do I. Like I said, mine doesn't happen immediately. It usually happens afternoon, or shall I say the later afternoon, and pretty much the progression is pretty rapid. Damn, I remember that feeling. It's like going, man. I remember thinking the little phrase on like pretty much all the toy boxes, suitable for all ages or something like that. Like yeah, like fun for all ages. Some verbiage of like that. Pardon me, like that. Some verbiage like that. I thought fun for all ages meant, kid, enjoy it now because your parents will. They'll be the ones enjoying this toy when it doesn't work anymore. When you don't have any power to it. So kids, enjoy it now because your parents are going to be enjoying it. They're going to be enjoying their quiet time, free of bells, free of whistles, free of horns, toot toot, bang, chimes, flashing lights, all that. Your parents are going to be the ones enjoying that. So again, kid, enjoy. That's what I thought. Suitable for all ages or fun for all ages meant. Pardon me. That seems like 100 years ago, but in actuality, it's only about half that duration, literally, because in 2 days I turned 46 years old. Everything I need to know, I learned in kindergarten. Well, I don't quite know about that, especially since I never read that book. But what I did learn in kindergarten left an everlasting impression on me. By the way, that was 41 years ago. Miss Gail Matthews was her name, my teacher. She helped me to understand how to use and how to appreciate those aforementioned F-bombs, which I'll detail each of those later. I remember I said I use about 5 major, or if I didn't, I'm telling you now, I use about 5 major F-bombs daily, making a navigation through my life less painful. Not perfect, but manageable. My most memorable incident, well, a feeling or a significant incident that I do recall was when I realized my mom was not coming back to take me home after she dropped me off at my kindergarten class. I thought it was just kind of temporary. No, I wasn't abandoned then. I haven't been abandoned since by my mom. But I was in kindergarten. That was my reality. And I stopped crying every day. That is, I stopped crying when she dropped me off in the morning. Basically, when I realized that it wasn't going to get me anywhere. But, well, I wasn't going to get anywhere. I had to stay in school. That was my reality. I tried to feel better or make myself feel better, but I couldn't do the things that my mom did to make her feel better. That was one emulation that was not condoned. In fact, my mom made it quite clear to me that she was an adult. I was a child. I couldn't do what she said. I couldn't, yeah, pardon me, I couldn't do what she did. And I couldn't say what she said. That was the end of the story. There's no bargaining, no negotiation, no, let's discuss it. No, that was it. She laid down the law, and I followed it. Now, looking back at it, I was like, oh man, I guess I was a feisty little 4-year-old, because I want to kind of almost mimic my mom and just use. Yeah, I don't know. She expressed that word. Seemed pretty emphatic when she did, but I know that I couldn't. So what I did was I had to. Well, I don't know if I had to, but I did. I developed my own 4 or 5 F-bomb words to use to help me manage my unhappiness or my stress, or just kind of trying to get through the situation that were sometimes difficult for me. The ones that I use are not proprietary to me. I have no copyright to them. Neither does my mom on the one F-bomb that she uses every day. But the ones that I use every day, I think 4 or 5, so I use them back then, and I still use them today. And powerful they are. That year, when I started kindergarten, I learned I could survive alone. Not like in the wilderness alone, but I could survive being separated from my mom for, well, at least 7 hours or so a day, 5 days a week, away from my mom. There were, of course, I had adult supervision at school, etc., but I didn't have to stay under my mom's wing continuously. Tough at first, but I learned to appreciate my, I'd say, newfound freedom, and I used my experience, me getting through it. I used that experience to manage myself. Yeah, a 4, 5-year-old kid managing herself. Imagine that. And I reckon that that essentially I was employing the same tools that I used as an adult, even after being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, to better manage myself. Today, when I'm faced with a difficult situation, like being diagnosed with an unpredictable degenerative disease, like multiple sclerosis, I take full advantage of the F-bombs. My F-bombs I carry around with me every day, in my back pocket, sort of say. My family is another F-bomb. My family, my boyfriend, currently my late husband, and my mom, they cared for me 3 months actually before my diagnosis of MS. My mom is still what we call clutch. I mean, she comes through in tough times. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving Day, and although my current husband and I, we invited my parents over for dinner, my mama knows that cooking and things like that at the end of the night is going to be taxing on me physically. So the game-changing plan, or the game changer, is she invited us over for dinner, and she ended up cooking all of the meal. I may bring over the cranberry sauce if I make it tonight. I may not. I like fresh cranberries. I like everything fresh. But beggars can't be, beggars can't be picky. So if I don't make it, I'll be fine with having the canned stuff that she is accustomed to. Anyway, like I said, she knows that cooking late at night and things like that would kind of add stress to me, and she does everything in her power to not stress me out. And I commend her for that. I thank her, and I do love her for that. Food is another F-bomb, in case you didn't realize it, that I used to help me get through tough times. Whenever food's around, usually it's a party-like situation. You may remember I told you earlier how my mom would bring bags of candy to the schoolyard. She'd distribute them to us through the fence. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, but that's something that wouldn't fly today. I'm sure it would not. But damn, I swear, I don't know one kid who had a peanut allergy back when I was growing up, or anything else. Maybe they did, and we just didn't know about it, wasn't identified, but things were seemed simpler back then. Very much more simple back then. And also our house was the house to stop by before school. There was, I don't know if there was a free breakfast back then, but kids oftentimes stopped by our house, and my mom had Pop-Tarts and things like that, oranges, apples, whatever. But it was cool because, it was like I lived at a house where all these kids were like, yeah, this is a cool place to be. And the smile that my mom's behavior elicited was just, it was special. It was really special. It was inevitable, but I'm pretty sure it was expected as well. Before I go any further, let me go on to list my F bombs, or my F tools that I use. Food, family, fun, fitness, friends, and the most important, faith. My faith. Of course, you realize that food is definitely one of my favorite F bombs to use, or tool to utilize. Um, my mom's cooking Thanksgiving dinner, my favorite holiday of the year. I was born the day after, and it's pretty special to me. But like I said, when I was a kid, Mom used to pass out candy through the schoolyard fence when me and the other kids were at recess. Again, good times, good memories. I associate food with fun, or it's hard to be stressed out when there's good food and family and friends around nearby. And I'm from New Orleans, by the way, in case you didn't know that. And one of the phrases we say is "laissez les bons temps rouler," which means let the good times roll. Now, like I said earlier, I came out of her room, my mom's room, the morning after Thanksgiving, literally. And it's my favorite holiday. And I can't wait for dinner tomorrow. It's not going to be a big party. It's just going to be my mom, my dad, my husband, and I having Thanksgiving dinner. But it'll be fun with plenty of food we have planned, a lot of desserts and things like that. So that's a good thing for me. It makes me also think about, gosh, my first wedding. There was second lining. I don't know if any of you have seen the Mardi Gras parades and things like that, or celebration, especially when somebody dies. We celebrate life in New Orleans. We don't celebrate or try not to mourn death, but to celebrate a person's life and their transition. I remember, I can still remember how fervently my late husband and I danced on our wedding day, which was actually 13 days ago, and 1 week ago to the day. I can still very clearly picture it because, it was picture perfect, hair, makeup, dress, everything was perfect. But what no one could see was my pain that I was enduring holding my bouquet of flowers. My hands hurt still to this day from the touch. And whenever it's below 75 degrees, it hurts a lot. So, I can look at the pictures and I see my great smile on my face and everything like that. But I knew what was going on, and it's kind of funny because even though I was in pain, a lot of pain during the event, I use the positive elements of food and family and friends and all the fun that I was having to mitigate that, so that it would be less of an impact upon me. So maybe I did learn everything I needed to know in kindergarten, as I learned how to recognize and to appreciate what matters most. For me, it was all readily available, thanks to Mama and Daddy. They provided for me what I thought was the norm. And because they kept a lot of the ugly, worldly truths from me as a child, I grew up. I matured to be the compassionate woman that I am today. Chronic illness, never would I have dreamt of such for me. My life was pretty much textbook perfect until, until September the 11th. My September the 11th, not the September 11th. We know with the World Trade Center and things like that, it occurred in 2001, but my September 11th was 1998. That was when I received my official diagnosis of relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. This is Dawn Melanie, and again, I thank you for joining me today for another episode of Managing Self. I hope you'll join me next week when I'll be discussing how I manage my MS, as like everything we do and say, what transcends originates in that wondrous mental powerhouse we call our mind. And although some of you listening, like me, may have multiple sclerosis, thus lesions or holes in our head, literally, please know that our physical brain is not the same as our emotional mind. Emotional mind tends to be irresponsible. It tends to be careless. Our emotional minds tend to be impulsive and oftentimes impatient. I have lesions. I have holes in my head, but I cannot, nor will I, blame a stupid decision solely on my MS diagnosis. Let me rephrase this. Let's replace stupid with an irrational decision. If you're rational, you do things based on logic as opposed to on an impulse or on a whim. If you do that and the result isn't favorable, usually isn't, don't blame that on the alcohol. Don't blame it on the MS. It's you who made the rational decision based on logic, your logic. No matter the accuracy or what you thought it would be or how it felt, you made the decision based on your logic, your rationale, that was the thing to do. So as I close this week, I want to present to you a challenge, and I'll be taking it as well. Anything you know that is a result of you doing something irresponsible, careless, impulsive, impatient, try to recognize at least one. Attempt to recognize at least one of these irrational decisions that you've made. And also, search for an opportunity and seize that opportunity to make it better. Consciously making a decision every day to do what you can to make it better. Not to blame anything, but for you to take control and make things right. Of course, it won't be right all the way immediately, but try to make it better. Better than that, try to make you better. I always say there's no stress-free existence, but we can all strive for a stress-less existence. And I promise you, the weight that's lifted off your shoulder, whether it be 100% or incrementally, the health benefits that you'll receive will be long-lasting and worth it. How do I know? I know because, like you, I've had to make changes. What disease-modifying therapy I'm going to take, what disease-modifying therapy I'm going to change. All changes, but there's decisions that I have to make. We can remain childlike, immature, and just stay in the same place, stay in our lane. But sometimes we have to change lanes, switch lanes. We do. I generally switch lanes when I'm trying to have the optimal driving conditions. Yeah, usually to reduce stress, but I know that there's no stress-free existence, but I know that every day I can strive for a stress-less existence. And I know that the weight lifted off my shoulders when I address something, it's going to yield long-lasting health benefits. Why? Because I'll have less stress. And eventually, ultimately, hopefully, it'll lead to a better version of myself. And I hope that you all can find that as well. A better version of yourself every day. Better than who you were yesterday. You can say that you are that now, but until you make an honest effort and do those things to make that change, you have not reached that which you want to be or say that you are. So every day you have to address that and make those changes to be who you say you want to be or who that you are. It's possible. It's most definitely possible. Believe that you are that, and show the world that you are that. This is Dawn Melanie, and I hope that you'll join me in the challenge of making this honest, mind-conscious effort every day. And, I don't want you to say F it, but I say FMS. Again, have fun. Enjoy your family and your friends. Gather around with good food, especially this upcoming holiday weekend, and have faith. Have a blessed week, and hope you'll join me next week. Thank you.